Hey, it's Jonathan Matoshnik. The question is, what is the best time of year to start my business? So, to answer this question for yourself, what you need to think about is your business in terms of what segment of the industry do you serve? What services do you provide? So, let me give you some examples. The seasonality is what you want to be thinking out. The seasonality of the different services you provide. So, within your company as a whole, you might have services that have a different seasonality. What I mean by that is fertilization and weed control for us in the Texas market is really a 12-month program. There's a number of treatments involved spread out all throughout the year. So even in the winter there's pre-emergence. Irrigation, a 12-month service. Now it's a little more concentrated in the summer months when the client's doing a lot of watering and they're more aware that they need to be watering. They're using their irrigation system more frequently. Therefore, there could be more potential for breaks, for different issues, for need for repair. But in general, you could still have irrigation issues in the wintertime. Take the maintenance side of the business, unless you've overseeded with a cool season grass, then on the maintenance side of the business in the Texas market, just as an example, think about it from in your market, but in the Texas market, March till the end of October, that's really our time frame. And now it's really, really busy from April till the end of September. But March until October, that's the season. And November, we've got some work, but it's really winding down. So we're picking up in March, winding down in October. That's the seasonality of the maintenance business. Now, clearly, if we've overseeded the properties with a cool season grass, then we're going to be talking about year-round maintenance in terms of we're probably mowing the property 46 weeks of the 52. So, again, you could work some of the seasonality of the business simply by overseeding in the maintenance business. Landscaping tends to be some seasonality. For the bigger guys, there's a little less seasonality because they're selling more and they're installing more in the winter, but for the little guys, there tends to be some seasonality in the landscaping business. So I bring that up because that's what you need to be thinking about in terms of starting your business. What is the seasonality? When does your client have the most need, or when does your prospect have the most need? Residential lawn mowing, they have the most need in March and April. That's when everything's starting to bloom and blossom. It's when the grass is growing. That's when the weeds are starting to come up. They're popping. They look nasty. Everybody's getting frustrated by how their lawn looks. Everybody's making the calls and running around looking for a lawn care company in March and April. And then in June, you've got some guys that thought they were going to mow it themselves, and we're talking residential here, and they give up, and it's too hot, and so there's another opportunity June and July. But that's your real big months. So clearly, if you're starting a residential lawn care company, and in the middle of the winter in December, nothing's growing, why would you start a lawn care company in December to mow lawns? I mean, you're really not going to win a lot of business. Yeah, you could win some, but not much. It's going to be a little more challenging, and there's ways to get business, don't get me wrong. You need to get business in the middle of the winter, but it's harder. If you want the best chance of succeeding, if you're quitting another job to start a lawn care company, I don't think you really want to quit in November. You're going to have a hard time winning a lot of business in those winter months. Once you have all your ducks in a row and quit your job closer to the beginning of peak selling season, March, April, May, that sort of thing. So now there's a second caveat to this. So are we talking residential or are we talking commercial? Residential, more often than not, does not include contracts. Commercial, more often than not, includes contracts. So some of the seasonality is eliminated in the commercial market simply because there are contracts. So yes, the grass may not be growing, the bushes aren't needing trimming, they're not thinking about new mulch. They're not thinking about all those kind of things in November, but their agreement, their contract may be ending in November. So they are thinking about it. In fact, somebody, the purchasing manager, the office secretary, the business owner, somebody is thinking about it right now more than he's going to think about it in the middle of the growing season when the grass is growing like crazy, because he's got a contract he has to renew. He either needs to make a decision to sign back with the current provider or move on to somebody else and see what his options are for price or better quality or whatever it is. So for that reason, a lot of seasonality is eliminated from the commercial market. Yes, you might not be providing a lot of labor in the winter months, but you could be writing a lot of business and you could be selling a lot of business. So If you're going into the commercial business, you can start anytime. You can start selling immediately. You can go out and start selling work instantaneously. From the moment you decide you want to be in business, you can start walking the streets, knocking on doors, sending out mailers, whatever it is. You can start that day one and you can start winning business. What's kind of cool is if you start in the middle of the winter selling commercial work, when there's not a lot of maintenance to do and you're selling maintenance contracts, you have a real opportunity to spend the vast majority of all your time selling and a very small percentage of your time maintaining the work, because there's not a lot to do in the middle of the winter. Whereas if you sell a lot of commercial work in spring, you're going to be doing a lot of work maintaining in spring. You have less selling time. So if you're entering the commercial market, wonderful opportunity starting in about September, October, depending on which market you're in. And I realize up north you have snow removal, snow opportunities where you're transitioning into a yet kind of a different business out of lawn maintenance into snow. You have some different opportunities. I get all that, but I'm just saying, think about my examples here and how they apply to your business, or how you can modify them to apply to your business. In commercial, you've got some selling opportunities, even though you're not doing a lot of maintenance, even though they're not a need for a lot of maintenance. So don't be discouraged in thinking that you can't start a business selling commercial work until the peak season arrives, because decisions are made based on expiration of contracts. Now, for somebody that doesn't have a contract in the commercial market, yes, they're going to be more concerned about making a buying decision when the lawn is growing and they've got to react and they've got to do something. So much like the residential market. So that's how you decide when you start your business, based on what market you're going into, based on what service you're about to offer, based on all those things. You take into consideration the seasonality of what you're going to be selling. Are the contracts involved or not? And that's how you know when the right time to start your business is. You want to jump out into the business when you have the best opportunity to sell a bunch of work. You don't want to jump out and wait for 3 months to have a real selling opportunity. You've wasted 3 months. You might as well stay where you're at, get all your ducks in a row, get your business completely ready, do some mowing, do some work on the side, do some learning by doing some accounts on the weekends and at night and on the side to get your feet wet and really understand what's going on. Have learned as many lessons as you can before peak season comes. And if you're in the middle of the season, yeah, I'd go ahead and jump out of my business even in middle season. Even if I miss that peak selling window, I'd still start mid-season and go out and sell work. It's going to be a little more difficult, but if you're aggressive, you can still win plenty of business, especially in the commercial market. But in the residential market, you can as well. You're just going to have to be more aggressive. So I hope that helped you, but that's how you decide when you start your business. Thanks.